Hello and welcome to the Whole Being Zone. I am really excited to do this. We tried doing this the other day and technology said no, 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 no. And I think what really happened was that the universe saw that we had something so amazingly cool here that we had to share it live. So we decided to reschedule and do it at a time that was morning. And that way people could join us if they wanted to. So hopefully you're with us, whoever it is that the universe wanted to be here with us, and you're willing to play. We've got Lynayn Meilke, who's been a tea drinker since age 5 and a practicing student of meditation for over 20 years. Beginning her acupuncture studies in 1999, she researched and integrated restorative and energetic properties of tea into her acupuncture practice. Lynayn currently works with clients as a transformational guide and lifestyle alchemist and is the owner of East West Tea Emporium. She incorporates her love and study of tea into the lives of clients through her program, The Well-Infused Life, with Lynayn Meilke. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this without my glasses, and I really should just have my glasses on. This is ridiculous how vain I'm being at this moment. When at home in Annapolis, she offers educational tea tastings and tea and meditation classes. Lynayn is a certified tea specialist, has a master's degree in acupuncture and certifications in nutrition, meditation, and mindfulness. She's currently on the advisory board and instructor for Specialty Tea Institute, STI. Welcome, Lynayn.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
It's really great to be here.
And we are going to be doing a tea meditation today. I've got my cup, my kettle, my tea holder, and my loose leaf tea sitting here next to me. But before we have you take us through the practice, tell us a little bit about your take on meditation and why meditation has become such an important component of your life.
Okay, it's a great question because it's over the number of years that I've been doing it. You know, I've had a natural ebb and flow with it as a practice, and a real love-hate-love relationship with it. And so for me, ultimately meditation is about calming my mind and putting me in a space that can awaken my spirit to become really present to my own existence, my own life, and allowing me to be more present to the people in my life that are important to me, that I love. And really what I found ultimately my practice means for me is it allows more intimacy, better relationships with people, allowing me to get to a level of knowing someone that I don't think I would be able to do if I wasn't as aware of myself and able to access that calm space when I needed to. It kind of comes back to if everything is sort of flowing well with you, then it flows well with everyone out in your world. And so that's really the biggest part of it for me, is just being able to live as an awake life as I possibly can, which is something that I've you know, been striving to do and continue to strive to do, and realize the benefits of that. Really about being awake and present. Earlier when you and I were speaking before we started, you commented on the birds that are out here with me, and those are the things that I think as you cultivate a meditation practice, you're aware of your environment, you're aware of your world, you're aware of your relationship to it, and you can appreciate it more. So that's pretty much why I continue, why I've always wanted to do it, and even when I've struggled with it and thought I was horrible at it and didn't like it, and you know, this is this thing that's good for you, but I don't want to do it, and have come back to finding a place with my tea meditation. And I do about 3 or 4 different types of meditation, but creating this tea meditation for myself and then sharing it with other people has been amazing, because it's I'm hoping introduces people to meditation sometimes for the first happy if I can share, you know, what I've learned from it with somebody else that at the end of the day makes the day worthwhile. So I'm happy to be here to do that.
That's amazing. So for people who struggle with anxiety or ADD and they feel like I can't stop long enough to sit and meditate, what advice do you have for them?
Right. Well, that's one of the reasons why I sort of began to play around with tea as a form of meditation, and I certainly want to point out that I'm not the first person to have ever done this. Tea has been used in meditation since around 520 BC. So there have been many monks that have come before me that have used tea as part of their meditative practice. And in fact, legend has it that an Indian prince, Bodhidharma, was very interested in meditation as a practice, and so he came to China and started to do a 9-year meditation sit. And 7 years through the sit, he fell asleep. And he became annoyed by this. So the legend is that he ripped his eyelids off in order to stay awake. And of course, if we think about the shape of the eyelid, and threw them on the ground, and this is the cultivation of the beginning of the tea plant, because the shape of our eyelid is very much the shape of the tea leaf. So as you can see, tea has been sort of intermingled with meditation for a very, very long time. And one of the things that I like about it for somebody who does have a little bit of anxiety or ADD, tea is great because it's 3 things that you need. You need water, you need leaf, and then you steep the tea. So for somebody who has ADD, I'm still giving you something to focus on, which helps. If there's still something going on, there's still an activity, a bit of an activity that you can ease your way into doing. And so it's not quite as daunting as telling someone with ADD or to just sit and start to do this practice of complete stillness and whatnot. Sometimes that's a little bit too much for people. So that's why I like this sort of form of mindfulness, of still having some movement or still doing something, but allowing your focus to just be on that thing as opposed to everything else that is going around you in that moment. It's sort of like when you play around in a Zen garden. You're still doing something, but your focus is on that as opposed to everything else that's going on. So you do get the sense of the calming and focusing in on one thing and becoming more still. So that's kind of why I like this practice. And I also think that individuals that have those issues need a meditation practice, you know, even more because they will really benefit from being able to be still and cultivate that quiet, even for a short period of time. It makes a huge difference.
Well, that's beautiful. So take us through the tea ceremony. I'm excited, and I'm staring at this tea going, I'm ready to drink it. So take us through the process.
Okay, well, so one of the things, and I'm going to try to do this very step, and of course, obviously, I wouldn't be talking quite as much. You wouldn't be talking when you're doing it at home, but just so that I can get you to go through the steps again on your own if you'd like to. I have out here with me my kettle, which is my electric kettle. Can you see me? Because I lost my...
Yep.
I lost the video of me. Okay, so I have... Okay, great. So I have my kettle, and then I have my brewing vessel of choice, which I like to brew in glass so that you can see the leaf, and then it's got the little infuser in it, and then my tea leaves and my timer. So when you're getting ready to do the tea practice, I like to kind of get myself sort of settled, and as I begin to gather everything that I need for to brew, I begin to get into the phase of getting quiet. So I'm not pulling together my tea materials while I'm on the phone or while I'm posting on Facebook or anything like that. I'm allowing myself to come more inward and get more focused. So I've gathered everything that I have. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my kettle on so that my water can get ready. And I have my container of tea. And measure out what's appropriate. And we won't talk about that today because I could go on about that for days. But we'll measure out what's appropriate for how you're brewing. You're going to put it in your vessel. Okay, and so as the kettle is on right now, what I like to do is give myself a moment to get still in my chair, and I'm going to have everyone close your eyes, take a breath in through the nose and out through your mouth, and just check in with your body, which when I first started to meditate, that phrase used to make me laugh and annoy me because I did not know what that meant. But what it really means is to do a scan, and I like to start at the top of my head and kind of do a scan down through my body, sort of paying attention to what you're feeling. Notice, do you have a headache, or do you have any neck pain, or how are your shoulders today? As you get down through the chest into the abdomen, how are you feeling? Down through the hips, are they tight, or are they open and comfortable? How are your legs feeling? All the way down through the body to give us an idea of how you're feeling, what's going on with you physically. And you also may notice if you're particularly chatty in the head, what thoughts you've got going on, if you're preoccupied with something or someone. And these are all things to note and notice. This gives us our baseline so that when we're at the end of our meditation, we can get a sense of where we've taken our body, how it's shifted, where we've taken our mind, how that's shifted, and ultimately how our spirit and our vibration has shifted and lifted and feeling more calm and alive. So once you take this scan, we'll give everybody a minute to do that. Again, breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just scanning the body to see how you're feeling. And the meditation that we're going to do while the tea brews is going to be a very, very simple and beginning sort of form of meditation where we're going to count our breath or observe the breath. So as soon as the water boils, we're going to pour that on and we're going to steep for 3 minutes. That will be our first concentrated 3 minutes of taking a breath in through the nose like we just did. My kettle just boiled, so I'm going to pour my tea. And everyone can pour the water on the tea leaf now. Now I'm going to give people two options here. So one of the reasons I brew in glass is I like to watch the leaf and see how beautiful it is as it brews. So if you are a person that is in the beginning stages and you do not like having your eyes closed, it's a way to start where you can simply sit and observe the leaf and do your breathing. So for these 3 minutes, we can either keep our eyes closed and do a breath and try to observe each breath in and each breath out, or we can leave the eyes open and do the breath while we watch the tea leaves. Okay, so if everybody's brewing, we're going to take our first breath in and out. And again, you can certainly watch the tea brew. And if you notice that you have thoughts come in, what I like to do is acknowledge them and then let them go. And if that is a little bit of a new practice for you, as you have a thought, you can just let it go and come back to the breath, paying attention to it or looking at the leaf, noticing the color change. Okay, so now we're going to take your leaf out. If it's a tea bag, you're going to take your tea bag out, or however you brewed. And so now, as you should be slightly calmer, quieter, because we've done our breathing, can go ahead, and one of the things that I like about the tea and meditation is it again teaches you to be present. So we're going to be very present to the aroma of our tea. Breath in. Take a look at the beautiful color. It's really quite a transformative process that has just happened in our cup. Essentially, what we've just experienced is called the agony of the leaf. So the leaf has just endured our boiling water and has given us this beautiful nectar. This is one of the things that I love so much about tea in general. I really think it's a metaphor for life. The more that we allow ourselves to experience that makes us a little uncomfortable sometimes, the more fully we become our authentic and true self. So the leaf has just done that for us. So we're going to now take a very slow sip in of our tea. You hold the tea in the mouth for a little bit and let it roll around, really get a sense of the warmth and the flavor. And then also on our second sip, once you hold it in the mouth for a little bit and let it roll around, as you swallow, try to follow the tea down into the body and notice the warming and the calming effect of the liquid. So what we will continue to do, and of course you can do this as long as you like, I do it for the entire cup of my tea, is take moments where I'm holding the cup and I'm feeling the warmth and I'm letting that penetrate my body and open it up and awaken it. I'm sipping the tea. As I sip the tea, I'm very mindful of what I'm doing. Right then and there, I'm sipping tea. I'm allowing myself to taste it. When I put the cup down, those would be the periods of time where, again, you could simply focus on the color of the brew, or you could close your eyes and do the breathing again. like we just did, with in through the nose and out through the mouth. And it's a repetitive process where we'll spend 15 to 20 minutes doing this process of simply enjoying the tea, but allowing that to keep us very focused and very present to where we are right now in our day.
So tell us just a little bit about types of tea that you find are really beneficial in this particular style of meditation.
Well, this morning I brewed a very beautiful black tea from China. I usually meditate and do tea with oolongs. They're really exquisite teas and very interesting in that we refer to them as multiple infusion teas. So the leaf, for example, here's the leaf in the bottom of my little strainer. It's done. I would not brew this leaf again. Typically, an oolong leaf can be infused anywhere from 2 to 4 to sometimes even 6 times. And that's because of the way the leaf is processed, and it doesn't fully open each time the water hits it until the very end. So it has more infusions. I like to do that when I'm doing a particularly longer meditation. So I may brew tea again after I finish my first cup, and then I'm already ready with that leaf. I don't have to measure leaf out again, so that's why I like to use the oolongs. Oolongs also are particularly, I think, beneficial for the meditative process. They help to naturally return the body to a more alkaline state. They are natural detoxifiers. They help regulate the blood lipid profile, so they help to take fats out of the blood system, helping to lower triglycerides potentially. There are all kinds of health benefits to oolongs, and I think all tea has health benefits to it. It's just a matter of picking the right one for whatever issue you're trying to address in terms of health. But oolongs are what I traditionally meditate with, because I do in the morning want to address the alkaline state of my body. You know, normally first thing I'll have water and lemon in the morning, and then I'll have my tea. So all of that is helping to keep the body in an alkaline state from the very beginning of the day. And again, I'm very partial to oolongs. They were, I always drank tea, but they were the first teas I ordered from a catalog after I read an article about high mountain oolongs and how beneficial they were to your health. And I ordered 4 of them, and they came in a very tiny box, and it was almost $200 worth of tea. And I remember my mother saying to me, "Is more coming? Because that's not very much." And as usual, I had managed to pick the 4 most expensive oolongs that you could order, and I've never looked back since then. I'm still doing that, but they really are quite fascinating to me, and how they're made. They're all different. One of the things I like about oolongs, it will take you a lifetime to try all of them that you can find, which I like. So that's what I do for the most part. Today I wanted a little bit more of an awakening faster, so my black tea this tea has a little bit more caffeine in it, which I like. One of the nice things about tea for meditation, speaking of caffeine in general, which is a very important aspect of tea in general, it has an amino acid in it, L-theanine, that when the L-theanine combines with caffeine, it does this really miraculous thing. It stimulates your central nervous system. So that allows us to awaken, but still be sort of in a calm yet alert state. Whereas if you're drinking coffee, it does have caffeine, and it will awaken you, but it does that by directly stimulating the heart because it does not have the L-theanine in it. So that little combination of the caffeine and the L-theanine makes tea a very unique beverage for this particular type of practice. And it is, in fact, why monks used it for thousands of years to do this, because it does allow you to be awake and present, but it's not overstimulating. It's really dealing with the central nervous system, which is what we want to become more alive. So that's another reason why tea is such a great thing to use as part of your meditation practice.
That's really beautiful. I want to go back for just a second because you had talked about the alkalinity, and I'm going to open it up, the Q&A, so that if we have any of the viewers who have questions, they can ask that. But tell us, for people who are not familiar with alkalinity and its importance in the body, tell us just a little bit about that.
Well, basically, the long and the short of it is, disease in general does not survive in an alkaline environment. And so when our bodies tend to become more acidic, it is a much more fertile ground for disease and illness to live in. So this is why there's, and of course, any inflammatory diseases, autoimmune issues, things like that, they thrive on acidity. So when you are trying to keep those in check or prevent them, basically we always want to be taking a look at what types of foods and beverages we're taking in and how they're affecting that. You know, fruits, vegetables, things like that tend to, they will make the body more alkaline, which is what we want. And most of the time, also, as you know, I'm going to be 40. Well, today's August 1st, so I'll be 49 in 12 days. And so my physical being with my exercise, I exercise a tremendous amount, do yoga, things like that, and my joints tend to be more. They inflame a little bit, and I've had some issues with them ever since I was in my 20s. So now that I'm going to be 49 and still moving them quite frequently, that's something that I pay a lot of attention to, and I can tell immediately when I have not been sticking to you know, foods and beverages that keep me more alkaline. Immediately my wrists and my ankles and things like that will ache a little bit more after my yoga or after I do Pilates. You know, I'm much more aware of parts of my body than I normally would be if I'm paying attention to what I'm doing with the alkaline of my body.
Okay, that makes sense. You had shared something the other day when we were trying to do this interview originally about the reverence of the tea and the tea leaves. Can you touch a little bit more on that? Because I had shared with you when we were rescheduling that I had the opportunity during grad school to go to India and have a similar experience, and it left a really strong image in my mind. So I'd love it if you would share your take on that.
Well, I've been to China and Taiwan, Japan, and Sri Lanka to stay in tea gardens and tea estates and pluck tea and go through the manufacturing process of tea. And for the most part, not 100%, but for the most part in the world, women are the tea pluckers. And when you go and you see this and you actually pluck tea yourself, you realize it's very difficult work. It's quite a skill to get the leaf exactly how you want, and it's a really beautiful thing to watch. You know, sometimes the women will sing, and there's a tremendous camaraderie in the tea fields when that's going on, and it's just gorgeous. And when I brew my tea, after seeing really what a hands-on process it is to get it from Sri Lanka or China into your cup, it really is very much about human beings in another part of the world doing this so that I can have this in my cup here. And I never I never forget that. I always try to remember when I brew my first cup of the day to say thank you, because it is hard work, and it's important to remember that I'm just sort of waking up and doing that thing, and so much time and effort and real care has gone into the production of this beautiful beverage for us. So I like to, thank all the women that do that, and pay attention to just acknowledging the number of people that came in contact with this leaf before I ever got it. This amount of, for me, peace when I travel and am in tea gardens. Particularly, I've had a really interesting spiritual experience every time I've traveled for tea, but particularly in Sri Lanka, it was kind of interesting. I broke, or I don't know really what happened. My glasses broke on the plane, and they never were fixed throughout the entire trip. So I need them to see distance. So it was very interesting. I was constantly having to tell people, make sure you know where I am, because I know you can see me, but I can't see you. And so I had to ask for help, which is something that I'm not really practiced at. And it was interesting to have to constantly say, hey, I don't know where you are, don't lose me, or whatever. And just having that experience of having to really, again, what we're talking about here, focus on what's right in front of me. I could see really clearly what was in front of me and nothing else. And it was a great opportunity to really live that and not be able to see that far ahead of me, to just be very focused in the present and to spend that time. Got to sit and do a meditation a couple of times surrounded by tea leaves and just the beauty of Sri Lanka, and it's pretty magical. And so that, in some way, shape, or form, I experience every time I drink tea, I think, is in me and kind of comes out again each time that I drink tea. But there's something very special about being there, and I'm sure you felt that when you were in India too. It's very unique.
Yeah, the flying in, because we flew from south of India up to Assam, and there was a very tiny airport that we flew into. But flying over the tea fields was just stunning. And it's an image that's really burned in my mind. And then being on the ground and driving on the roads between the fields and then going out actually to the plantation where they pick it and they process it, and then to receive a bag of that tea that night was a really special gift. And I still have the bag here today. I can't throw it away. It's one of those things that just is a deep reminder to me. So yeah, I understand that. What you were talking about just then, I think, is so critical of a role within meditation. How do I articulate this? As you were saying it, what kept coming up was meditation is the tool that allows us to be so fully present. And in what you were talking about in your story, that you had to be clear with what was right in front of you, and you had to have the faith that you would be taken care of, you would be supported, you would be found in exactly the right time, in exactly the right place. But in the meantime, there was just a trust that where you were then was the right place and time. And I think that is something for me and for many people right now that is a lesson that is kind of a cosmic 2x4 upside the head, that we need to learn this, we need to learn it quickly. And I love your story and how we've used this tea meditation today to bring that into a daily, very simple, very fast practice that we can do throughout the day. You shared that you do this multiple times a day, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, and I do, like I had mentioned earlier, I do several other types of meditation where I will do, 30-minute sits here and there. And if I'm not actually brewing tea during it, I will sip tea beforehand to kind of get into the state that I want to be in. and then I will also have tea afterwards. But it's interesting what you said, Wendy, about the trust issue, about trusting that you're going to be taken care of. And it was it also, for me, the other funny thing is I did have a prescription pair of sunglasses, which I started wearing, and then, believe it or not, a couple of days into the trip, they were run over by the Jeep. So, so when that happened, I really stopped for a second, and I thought, there is something really that I am supposed to get. And for me, what I got in that was, I'm supposed to believe and trust that something right in front of me is very important, whatever that is. But my focus needs to be right here, right now. And so it was trusting that people weren't going to leave me, but it was also about trusting that there was something, some experience that I needed to let in to my body and to my being, of just being able to be right where you are in that moment and having that be enough. I think culturally we become so focused on tomorrow, next week, next month, particularly when you are, an entrepreneur and you have your own business and you're, constantly in the mode of what's coming next and what do I need to do next, and that's this kind of thing, that we are pulled away from being very, very present to the moment and experiencing that and knowing that as long as we are taking care of what's going on right here in front of us right now, really and truly the rest does in some way, shape, or form take care of itself. So it was a fascinating trip in that aspect, and you're absolutely right. We do need to get that ability quickly, and that's why I encourage people to do this more than one time a day. This is what we've done today is totally scratching the surface of how complex you can make this practice and how you can utilize it and tweak it to do what you want to do. But in general, I started doing it with my clients because I wanted them to, if nothing else, take 10 minutes to brew a cup of tea, sit there and drink it. And my default was, at least they're getting really good, high-quality tea into their body. It's healthy. It's great. It's great for their chi. It's great for their mindset, kind of thing. That was my whole point, was to just get people to stop just for that. On the other hand, I have also taught, the men in my practice, I have taught them to brew tea for the women in their lives. And I actually had where you can share this process with another person, where there's not a particular amount of talking going on, but you and I are sharing tea together. And I had a client's wife call me, and she was crying. And she said, I don't know what you're doing there with my husband. She said, but he will never miss an appointment. She said, because last night he came home, and after dinner he brewed me a cup of tea, and it was the nicest thing that he had done for me in 20 years of our marriage. And they still continue every night to have a cup of tea together. So that's how you take this and extend it sort of out. There's a lot of things that you can do with it, but it is very much about being present to who you're with when it's just you, present to yourself, and how I'm very present to you right now in our conversation, and whoever else you might want to brew tea with. It extends out to that. So it really is quite a beautiful practice, and to me, very much is about life in general, and what life can be, and what we really can experience with it if we give ourselves the opportunity. So this is just a really small way to do that, but you can reap huge rewards from it, which I love that. I like things that are very efficient. This is a really simple thing to do with big, big results, and so I like that.
Well, I've got one more question for you, but I wanted to just give a shout out because I'm drinking out of my favorite mug that a dear friend, when she came to visit me, actually the only friend, hint, hint, who has come to visit me since I moved to Vermont, gave me. And I'm drinking tea that one of our viewers / listeners sent me. So thank you, Julie Cunningham for sharing that tea. It's called Thrive, and it is absolutely delicious, but it's even more magical having gone through this ceremony and trying it for the first time. So thank you very much, Lynayn. Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Cindy, for making the ceremony even more special for me. So my last question, I ask this to everybody, what does whole being mean to you?
Well, I'll answer first.
Well, no, it's directed to you, actually.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It is.
Well, whole being, to me, is really, it's kind of like firing on all circuits in life. It's every part of you. It's, you know, it's the mind, it's your spirit, it's your body. It's everything functioning together optimally, supporting each other. You know, the mind communicating with the body, positive things, and the body able to do what it is that the mind wants to do to accomplish whatever work it's set out. The spirit being awake and alive and interacting with other spirit in a joyful and loving way. It's really being, it's very much like why I named my program Well Infused. It's being full of and incorporating all into, and that's really something that does speak to me. That on all levels, just being everything that you can be. And I loved that the first time I saw it. I thought, oh, that's really great. Because we want to get the most out of life, and we need all of that in order to do that. That's why we have all those components working together. So that's what it means to me.
Thank you. So if people wanted to learn more about you and your tea expertise, where can they find you?
They can go to Lynayn Meilke, which is LYNAYNMIELKE.com. My website is still being finished, but you can go there, and there will be an opt-in so that if you wanted to receive emails from me and all of that, you will be able to communications, all of that you will be able to, and you will be able to know what I'm up to. And if you wanted to talk with me directly before then, you're welcome to email me directly, which is, again, Lynayn Meilke. It's LYNAYNMIELKE@gmail.com.
And you have a class coming up. Tell us a little bit about that.
I do. I'm going to be flying to Dallas, Big D, on Tuesday, and the Specialty Tea Institute, of which I am on the advisory board and have am an instructor for them. We are teaching level 1 and 2 tea introduction classes. We're also teaching a level 3 class on oolong, and in conjunction with that, that's for the certification program that you can take if you're interested. But we're also having some wonderful classes that anyone can participate in, and I am teaching one of them on tea, chi, and meditation, where we will delve farther into what we've just talked about today, and I will go through a couple other ways of meditating with tea and talking about the effects of tea and meditation a little bit more in depth on your chi and how why you benefit from doing that. So it should be really a fun time, and I'm looking forward to it. That and the barbecue. So my father's coming to visit with me while I'm there, so we have big plans to go eat barbecue after our tea. So.
Nice, nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for teaching us how to do this meditation. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. It's been really wonderful to be really wonderful to be here. Thank you.